to This Is Our House, presented by Samsung, as we welcome you back to the show. Andy Petrillo, Gareth Wheeler, Jordan Wilson with you. Some conflicting reports. First, we heard Moise Bombito was going to be out of the World Cup. Very believable, given that in that game against Uzbekistan, he just played 30 minutes. It was our first time seeing him after that broken leg. We were a little concerned, didn't end up playing against Ireland. But then Jesse Marsch came out and said, stop the press. We have not ruled him out. In fact, we have up until 24 hours before our first kickoff. So that means June 11th at 3 p.m. ET, they can make their final roster decisions. And he wants to wait until the last possible moment. But given the he's out, not exactly out, could still be in type of conversation here, Wheels, how confident are you feeling in this Moise Bombito situation?
I think he's out. I think he's out. Like, how much more do we need to see from a player a week before the first World Cup game and the ground that would be required to make up for a player that, let's be honest, was a doubt from the time that he broke his tib fib back on October 7th. He's played 30 minutes of football since then, and that was in Edmonton. And he didn't look ready. He didn't look right. There was a lot of people coming out of that game I was speaking to that didn't think that he should have been on the field whatsoever. So I've already ruled Moise Bombito out in my head. I'm not sure why a report comes out late on a Saturday night saying definitively he was out, then all of a sudden a change of heart. I'm not sure if Marsch is just trying to control the narrative, sprinkle some seeds of doubt, maybe some mind games. I'm not quite sure what's involved, but I'd be shocked if Bombito is going to play, which means next man up. I mean, this has been the case with the Canadian back line for the better part of the last 18 months, with Davies, Alistair Johnston being out, Derek Cornelius being Bombito being out. It's been makeshift. But what this team has been is resilient. And the players that have stepped up and stepped in are not as talented, but they're able to keep that ship steady. And that's what I appreciate. Now it's going to be a lot of pressure on a 20-year-old center back who's only played 27 career professional games in Luc de Fougerolles. I really like him. He's composed, good footballing brain and body, Jordan, but it's just, is the time right for him? That's going to be a huge question.
We'll get to him in just a moment, because I do want to get, are you ruling him? The way Judge Wheeler over here has kind of hit the gavel?
Yeah.
Is Bombito out for you too?
1,000%. I think based on the situation, look, it was heartbreaking seeing him go through that tunnel when they played the matches two games ago, and you're looking at him, you're like, against Uzbekistan, you're like, okay, well, the Bombito that we know, the Bombito that we want to see, pace, physicality, he's just not there right now. And it's unfortunate for us to see, but that is sometimes how the cookie crumbles, and that is football. I also think, too, people are like, oh, it's Bombito a bust, it has to be Bombito. Do we want Bombito at 50%? Do you want any athlete at any highest competition not being their truest self? So, like, for me, he's going to take some time. It's obviously going to be horrible not to have him, but to Wheels' point, this team has some depth, and there are other players that can step up and
I feel that
a moment.
Yeah, the role that Jesse Marsch also wants that center back to play, Moise Bombito in particular, you can't be 50, 60, 70. I would even say you can't even really be 80, because he plays that high press. Yeah. Moise Bombito has that speed to get back oftentimes when Canada does give up those breakaways, something else we're going to get to in just a moment. So you mentioned Luc de Fougerolles. Does he have what it takes to play that system Marsch wants to play?
Well, I think he can step in. Can he do it over 3, 4, 5 games in this tournament? That's where my question is. It's not that one-off game. It's over a long tournament. You need depth. The games, the players that you're playing against, the conditions of pressure tend to wear you down. I like de Fougerolles again, and I have no problem him being thrust into this position. I also have questions about the man that's going to play next to him, in Derek Cornelius. I think de Fougerolles outshone Derek Cornelius in that last game against Ireland. The thing with Cornelius, I mean, the last game that he played before this window with Canada, professionally for Rangers, because he was cast aside, was November 9th. And he looks a player that looks fit, looks strong, but his positioning and timing seems a little bit off. So I think there's some real questions about this center back pairing, what it's going to look like, not because the players aren't good, for me, it's just all about context right now.
I don't think I'm even hopeful. I have true faith that Luc de Figueroa and Cornelius are going to work out. I think Cornelius is going to kick it into gear at the right time, which is obviously on Friday. I think Luc de Figueroa, he's the kid that will always come home on time. He's just like, he's devout, he's responsible, and he plays a simple brand of football. He doesn't play outside of his means. He knows what he can do well, and he does that. The thing is, though, Wheels are so right, it's tournament football, quick recovery. You got to lick your wounds. How quickly can he turn around and perform time and time again? But also, World Cups are about being a breakout party for players. This is where you step up and you maybe go 3, 4, 5 games playing your best football ever, and then cha-ching, that 20-year-old guy, who knows where he might be going.
Well, you know what he has? He's got youth on his side.
There it is.
Turn that over.
The knees get old quick. You look down like, ah.
Exactly. Well, let's head on back to Canada Soccer House, powered by General Mills. Mackenzie Barwell, Oliver Platt on location. Do you have your scarves yet? Your noisemakers? How are things looking for this rally that's about to begin in about 5 minutes?
Great, Andy. Thanks for not forgetting about us. I was worried the conversation would get carried away over here, but we want to be a part of it, okay? So we're going to circle back and talk about, those question marks that are a part of this men's national team right now, because there have been a few cases of, will they, won't they? And Andy, as you said, one of which is Moise Bombito. We knew he was struggling with his injury recovery after he came off at around the 30-minute mark against Uzbekistan. And since then, there have been confirmed reports that suggest he'll be completely unavailable for the World Cup. Then Jesse Marsh doubles down and says, hold on. We're going to use every last minute we have to make him, have the opportunity to play in this tournament.
Yeah.
Supposedly, Ollie, he's been playing in training, modified training, I should say. What is your take on this situation?
Yeah, very curious situation. I guess there is a chance those reports were wrong. I don't think it's likely. These are reporters that have been embedded with the team, have covered the team for a long time. They're not salacious tabloid journalists looking for gossip. So I find that a little hard to believe. You get into speculation as to what might have happened to change that decision potentially, but we know two things. Number one is that Jesse Marsh, like you said, has wanted to give his key players the longest possible time to recover. He'll wait till the last minute until he has to rule them out. Number two is that Moise Bombito has been very bullish on his own chances of playing. 11 days ago before these friendlies, when he was asked about his chances, he said they're 100%. He's going to play, and he seemed to indicate he'd be ready for Friday. Clearly, that doesn't look to be the case now. Look, sometimes you listen to these guys, you hope that what they're saying is true and it's reality because you want to see Bombito play. Other times, I think you also need to critically assess it a little bit and use your eyes, to be quite frank.
Yeah.
And Bombito against Uzbekistan didn't look like a player who was a 2-week tune-up away from being ready. He looked like a player who needed a 6-week preseason. So it's difficult to imagine him at this point featuring, but we'll see.
But I mean, to your point, when he was asked, will he be ready? He's almost scoffed at that.
Yeah,
absolutely. Another one involved in that will they, won't they conversation, Alphonso Davies. Obviously, he's sparked a lot of debate. Maybe the question isn't so much will he play at all. I'm sure he'll be at the tournament. He'll make his way onto the pitch at some point or another.
Yeah.
But is it likely that he'll make a meaningful impact given his situation right now?
Well, the bad news is he's still not involved in training or even modified training, and we've got 3 training sessions to go before they play Bosnia. So again, you kind of
modified training.
we think that's how it works.
We're trying to figure it out.
So again, that doesn't maybe bode too well. The positive with Alphonso is that obviously he's played more recently. He's played an extremely high level recently with Bayern Munich. So you would imagine that if he can get back into training for a few days, for a week, that he might be able to give you something. I think they're going to really need to hope that he can, because it's become down that left-hand side a position that's gone from a real position of strength and depth to one where you have questions over Ali Ahmed, Jacob Schaffelberg, Richie Larea, potentially even Ralph Priso now, who we thought would be the replacement. So they have to hope so, and let's hope he can trend in the right direction in the coming days.
Do we know where Ralph falls in the return to play modified training?
I think he was still at the bottom, return to play today, yeah.
All right. Well, I'll tell you right now, you guys, both Moise Bombito and Alphonso Davies just walked in the tracksuits, and listen, the whole team was looking fired up. So we've got a lot of hope that they'll make their way onto the pitch at some point or another this tournament. Andy, I'll throw it back to you in studio.
Right here in studio, we're in full training mode. That is right. We are ready to go, and that
Nothing modified.
Nothing modified here. No GMOs here. We are ready to go, full training. But what's going on with Jonathan David when it comes to scoring? I go back to 2021, 2022, when they were qualifying for the 2022 Qatar World Cup, and it was so thrilling to watch him. He had 11 goals in those 26 games played in that year, 21 and 2022. He and Kyle Larin were going back and forth. Who was the leading goal scorer on the men's side? He currently holds that, Jonathan David does, with 39. But it just seems like Jesse Marsch isn't getting the most out of him from an attack here, Jordan. What do you think needs to change?
A bunch of things. First of all, I got to shout out our team, Iceman Gone Cold. I love a little play on words. That is fantastic. But that's what it's been for him. A player with so much quality, a player that knows how to put the ball in the net, the player that slows down in front of goal. He's just not getting into those areas and not finding that joy, Wheels. That's the biggest thing for me is we have probably the most prolific striker ever in Canadian history, and he's not in areas to go and change the game. So this was against Ireland, and I just want to focus on one thing that happened in this match and needs to happen more. Look at Luke the Refrigerator there. That right there, Jonathan David getting the ball. But I probably want to see him in this position, Wheels, where Larin is the one shooting, right? Kone could do what Jonathan David did. There are other players in this team could get that ball in that pocket. But 1v1 in the box, I want the Iceman shooting and getting on target and making sure that he can go and change the game. And that's what's been missing for me from Jay David.
Yeah, we thought at some point that Marsch would experiment playing Jonathan David up top. That never happened. There's a couple explanations what's happened here over the last year. One, they played more defensive teams that won't play wide open against Canada. That's when Jonathan David has thrived. Whether it's Colombia, Ecuador, Australia, even the 4 teams that they played here in the latter stage, or right here in the build-up to this tournament, they've basically allowed Canada to be on the ball and said, break us down. I don't think that's where Jonathan David is at his best. I think it's when things open up a little bit. He's free to move and find spaces in behind the back line. Look at that little turn. He's like right up against the back line, Jordan. He's not making a run from like 25 yards out. He's in and around the box. That's when he's at his best. I don't think he's playable against very many defenders just because his first step's very good, his instincts are very good, but he's playing way too deep for me. So we'll see what teams do against Canada, whether they'll allow them to get forward a little bit. Perhaps there's different ways that Jesse can use Jonathan David, but right now it's a combination of tactics. His form has been a little bit checkered coming down the stretch with his club football with Juventus as well. So he's not a guy in a whole lot of confidence right now. Again, that first game, if he can come out and show something, maybe that will kickstart him in the right direction.
I think for certain countries too, you got to know, if you have 2 strikers up top, it's because you can't leave one out. You're like this, both of them as a tandem are so dangerous. But it's almost like you're trying to figure out who's going to play with Jonathan David or who can play at that 9. And it's just, for me, it feels like a missed opportunity that the person that you could put there, you haven't. And then you could add an extra midfielder. So I hope this doesn't burn Canada. I hope this doesn't bite them in the you-know-what. But it's one of those things we're going to have to revert back to because he doesn't look like his best self on the pitch.
It's the biggest risk that Jesse Marsch, like this is, he is the best player on the field with no Alphonso Davies for Canada.
Most
and are you using your best player in the way that will get the most out of him? And I think definitively, based upon the evidence of it, the answer is no.
Yeah.
He's not a 10. He's not a creator. He's a finisher. He's someone that tries to get in behind the back line, not to check and chasing down, and defending on his own half. That's not what I want to see.
Well, let's go from the attack to the defense. And there's been some moments, we even saw it in that Uzbekistan and even Ireland, the last 2 games, where there have been breakaways for the other team. Now, granted, they haven't necessarily led to goals. Canada's picked up quite a few clean sheets under Jesse Marsch, but they've led to some very nervy moments, right? Is that the result of playing this type of high press? I mean, what is happening here that you can maybe kind of stop that? Because World Cup, especially if you get out of the group, you're playing against better teams.
Jesse Marsch plays a risky style of football. It's rock and roll to a certain degree, and any good concert can always go sideways if the structure isn't properly in place. And that's my biggest complaint about this Canada team right now is the structure or lack thereof. Sometimes I think players get confused where they need to be, and even when you make a mistake, there needs to be cover. Kamal Miller makes a mistake against Iceland. Where is the other fullbacks? Where's the defender? It just seems like they're all pushed forward, too many of them, all at the same time, and they got punished for it. Another mistake here. Eustachio doesn't clear his lines between Waterman and Kamal Miller. Boom, back in the net. This happened against Tunisia. This is the Liam Miller moment. Look, at 2-0, you play a better team. Like, Tunisia can play all day, all night. They can't finish their lunch, breakfast, and dinner. It happened against Uzbekistan as well. Let off the hook on both occasions. Canada able to somehow preserve the clean sheet. And against Ireland as well, it happened wide open, 1-on-1 with Max Crepeau saving the day. This is 4 consecutive games. Those are just 5 of the challenge. I counted 7 clear-cut chances just because the structure isn't robust enough. There's not enough people taking responsibility at the back Overall, those players compete. They're very good doing that, Jordan. But when a mistake happens, there has to be proper coverage.
When you have a rest defense, meaning what happens when you lose the ball and how quickly can you solve a problem if it gets broken down, it's difficult with this Canadian side because they're so front-footed. They're so conscientious of we got to go win the ball because this is what we're supposed to do. And then, oh no, if we slip or oh no, if someone steps too far and a player gets the ball, the other team is off to the races. We just talked about it. We just showed you what that looks like. The rest defense is always getting way more contact and way more press than you would ever expect because Canada wants to be on the front foot. So I think if you're going to move forward, and teams know this as well, this is where you're going to break down Canada. You think Bosnia and Herzegovina are not looking at these situations and saying these are the tell signs? Once you see Eustachio go, once you see Kone go a little bit higher, there's space for us to exploit. I'll say this for free. Bosnia are some big boys. Ready, they're robust, they're ready to go and bounce shoulders, and they're going to try to attack that space. So I'm hoping that Jesse Marsh and company understand what's at risk and are really solidified and make sure that there are no gaps between them.
Only 5 players on Bosnia are under 6 feet tall. They're big, they're physical, they're strong, and they're tactically very good as well, so it's going to be a challenge.
Oh my goodness, that is
big boys.
That is a big team right there. If you can't get enough football during the World Cup, don't worry. We also have you covered here with the TELUS Canadian Championship. That is this country's trophy. The quarterfinal leg 1 begins on July 8th. Those are the teams that will be going head-to-head. So CF Montreal, Vancouver Whitecaps, the 2 MLS sides that are in it. Toronto FC eliminated by the reigning CPL champs in Atletico Ottawa. When we return, let's take a look at this squad, projected lineups. We're also going to take a look at some international players that these two gentlemen are looking forward to watching.